The following program is sponsored by Capitec.
Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Insider SA, your guide to living better. Join us today as we open up to fresh as Mrs. South Africa Palesa Matjekane and her Mr Phihlelo Matjekane dine out at Restaurant of the Year, The Living Room. A field of all-female jockeys compete at this year's King's Plate horse race. Learn to grow dahlias with flower farmers Susie, LeBlond and Tarryn Martin. Binkie Newman reinvigorates the market for African baskets. Sustainable summer dresses by Olivia Kennaway bring a breath of fresh air to fashion. Emcee YoungstaCPT gives props to his mom, Raffy Roberts, for his broad appeal. And African design inspiration springs evergreen from this mountainside villa. If renowned horse racing event The Queen's Plate is now the King's Plate to reflect a new male monarch in the UK, the freshest breath of air on the day was a new race featuring an all-female field of jockeys. Olympic champ Rake Neetling was there to welcome in the new.
I think the significance is that it's a world-class event that's held here in Cape Town. There are so many international guests from all walks of life here. It's a way for the city to show off exactly what this beautiful city has to offer. The equestrian industry has had a tough few years. It's important for people to support it, and I think the future's looking good.
To commentators on the SA sporting and media landscape like Liesel van der Westhuizen, the women's race was the main event of the day.
My big thing today was about being here to see the female jockeys. It's just incredible to see female out on horses, and I want to see more females on jockeys, so maybe next year we'll see females in the main race. And then of course the fashion.
The dress code was blue and white. It was absolutely open season on where you went with that.
My outfit is a jumpsuit, nice and comfortable in the heat, a massive handbag with some sunblock. The women's fashion is outstanding, but the men have really come out to play.
Some went classic, inspired by vintage cars from the Franschhoek Motor Museum. Designer Arnold Chauke went Afro chic.
I'm here because I love African fashion and we're here to represent. With the theme being blue and white, we took it all the way to Nigeria and Ghana. Everything is handmade and hand embroidered. The embroidery represents the diamonds that would be on a king's crown. It represents royalty and luxury.
Given the temperatures, software manager Alan Smith chose to play it cool from head to toe.
So this is a boater hat, and I just felt like it was appropriate for this event. And then I figured, okay, well, this is summertime, it's hot outside, so I decided to match it with the seersucker suit. Decided that I wanted to match, the blue with the theme, and decided to get the shoes, which are very comfortable loafers. And this is my ensemble.
It was a day for outfits you've waited all year to wear. And model and entrepreneur Sherry Lee Sampson had a perler to reveal.
It's mermaid, Barbie mixed with equestrian, as per the theme. From far, it should look like I'm only wearing the pearls. So that is the whole concept of the outfit. I actually got sewn into this outfit. It may look light, but it's very heavy.
Someone getting fantastic returns on her summer purchase was investment banker Lesego Mogale.
It's a structured band-aid dress. It tucks away, it gives you the contour, and I think the interesting detail that the white lining does creates something for the eye to get intrigued by. And to match it, I brought along this pearl purse and just a simple, delicate white strappy heel, which is comfortable because it will be a long day, followed of course by a lot of dancing at the after party.
The top reason to celebrate was an all-female lineup of riders competing in a race which Gina Goldsmith has backed and coordinated from day one.
I'm very big in female development in this sport. It's a mainly male-dominant sport, so I just wanted to get all the ladies in and to give them their time to shine and just to enjoy the day. And we're hoping to make this an annual thing.
Among a field of jockeys from as far as the UK was Rake Neetling's girlfriend, Chelsea Wilson.
Yes, I entered her as a little bit of a joke, but I think for her it was like a bucket list thing and a dream for her to be able to ride these incredible horses going at these speeds. And for the past 3 months, she's been training very hard. It's so lovely to see her so happy.
There was fierce competition over 1,200 meters until determined Zimbabwean jockey Omira Rusika took the inaugural title.
Winning the race today is a very big achievement for me. I'm feeling very, very happy and very proud of myself as we begin the year 2023. Horse racing has really changed my life in the sense that I really wanted to be a jockey, but then I had to take another path and be a work rider instead, which is something I love. I love working with horses. I just love working with racehorses all the time. It's not just about being a jockey at the end of the day. You could work with horses, you could be a trainer, you could be an assistant trainer. There's so much to knowing the horse itself. We really need young jockeys, we need young females. It is a very male-dominated sport, and it's also advertising to other young females as well that it is possible, they can do it, they can be a female jockey.
So many women have the right size, weight, talent, and temperament. Opportunity is all they ask.
I feel so happy. I literally have no words to describe how I'm feeling right now. I'm literally on top of the moon. I'm a happy girl right now.
Woman in the saddle on race day is the most refreshing new feature of the sport in South Africa, and it's gone way beyond simply being in vogue. Coming up, the freshest trends in flowers from 2 lady farmers. And summer fashion can be super sustainable too. A love of gardening springs afresh each season for botanist Tarryn Martin and flower farmer Susie LeBlond, who studied garden design and horticulture. That passion and fascination became the most fun the day they began to farm together.
Tarryn and I found each other through Instagram, actually. Yeah. I was growing flowers, she was growing flowers, and I saw her account on Instagram, loved what she was doing, and I also knew that she was local. She's just down the road from me. And I had quite a lot of excess flowers in my garden, and I just gave her a shout and said, you know, can you use some of my flowers? Would you like to meet?
Within half an hour of meeting, Susie said, come have tea with me. She's like, hey, do you want to grow flowers together? And I was like, sure, why not?
This urban plot was a fallow veggie garden before lockdown, when Susie began to farm blooms.
We have 3 growing areas. We started off with 2. So this area that we're in right now is Susie's growing area. And because we're urban and we're in the city, we've had to really maximize our space and use what is available.
Also because we are growing within our own personal gardens, it's very important for us to keep the ecosystem intact. And once you start spraying, you disrupt that chain, and then you need to spray more and you need to spray more. So that's not something that we're willing to do. And we've both got beehives. So we love our bees, we love our pollinators. So it's really important to keep everything as natural as possible.
Because our space is quite small, we've focused really on flowers that are called cut and come again flowers. So they're flowers that you grow and they're quite prolific, and the more you cut, the more you get.
One of our main flowers here are the dahlias, which we absolutely love. Those are what we call our showstoppers, or our focal flower. Yeah. And then we have got different kinds of flowers which we use as fillers, which are slightly smaller but complement these big dahlias.
Originally grown as a food source, dahlias came to be bred for their flowers, which are now the trending feature in floral design.
Dahlias are perennial, that's the wonderful thing about them. So you can grow them year after year after year, and they actually grow from tubers. So it looks a little bit like a sweet potato. Yeah, it looks like a sweet potato. You pop it in the ground, and then 4 months later you get these, which is absolutely amazing. They're also really easy to grow. People think that they're complicated, but they aren't. You put the tuber in the ground, 4 months later, you've got these amazing flowers. And the tubers actually multiply under the soil. So you start with a tiny little tuber like that, but when we dig them up in about May, you'll find that they've actually made a huge big clump of tubers, which is fantastic, because then you can divide, you can split, and then you can grow more dahlias in your garden.
The bonus of all this abundance is getting to have a field day in decorating your home.
A lot of people, when they're picking dahlias at home, they don't want to lose the secondary buds, and so they're tempted to pick quite short. So they would pick here, but it's actually with dahlias, it's better to go deeper because you end up getting more flowers in the long run and you get a longer stem length. So I would pick down here, or you can go even deeper. You're losing all of this, but your plant's healthier as a result.
Since they began to collaborate, Susie and Tarryn have grown a wider collection of women flower farmers, sharing ideas and inspiration.
There's so many choices with flowers, so a good place to dive in is to think about your color palette. We've chosen a lovely pink and berry color palette here. I prefer sort of a single color palette so it doesn't look too much like a fruit salad. So we've got this lovely harmonious tones here. That's a good place to start. So we've got all our focal flowers, and over here we have our foliage and our fillers. Those complement our flowers, and these we've just foraged from the garden. So it's just greenery that sort of bulks out our arrangement.
We also like to include rosemary and basil because it adds quite a nice scent, because dahlias don't have a scent. So it's a nice way to bring scent into your arrangement.
Yeah, the nice thing is that you can go into your garden and just explore and see what you've got.
What about that handy old green spongy staple of floral design?
We like to go foam free, so we don't use floral foam because it's not very good for the environment. And so what we use is a combination of chicken wire, and then we've created a grid using just sellotape.
And the nice thing is, as you build it up, it helps to hold the flowers as well.
And you kind of want to work with the shapes and with the plants.
If there's a natural curve to something, you use that curve in your arrangement to have sort of like a journey within your arrangement. So it draws the eye from one side to the other.
Once the structure's done, we start building up the flower arrangement by adding focal flowers, which in this case are the dahlias.
Then we come in and we add our filler flowers. So we've got cosmos, we've got some scabious, and they're just sort of sweet, whimsical garden flowers that we pop in. Because these are quite heavy and solid, and these ones are just light and floaty. They just sort of float above the arrangement.
To finish off our arrangement, we like to add something unexpected, and Susie and I both have a love affair with grasses, and so we actually find that we tend towards adding grasses, and in this case we're going to add the pennisetum.
It's got a lovely texture. It's like a little foxtail, and also just bobs around above the arrangement like that.
And
it's
it
very
adds
sweet.
a bit of movement.
Yeah, it's cute, whimsical, and there we go.
If you're an enterprising woman and farming flowers is your idea of a fresh start, now you have a blueprint and a community waiting to welcome you.
We'd love to see what you're doing at home using these tips and tricks for an arrangement.
So take a photo and post it to social media and tag us at the Insider SA.
Here's to snapshots of your brilliant arrangements, which we'll post on our Facebook page. Raised on the coast of East Africa, designer Olivia Kennaway saw the natural minerals from which so much got made, the skilled hands which crafted the products, and the communities they supported. All of it has resulted in a fresh, sustainable take on fashion.
Creativity's always been a really big part of my life growing up. I grew up in Kenya, and the influence of things being made in Kenya has had a really impactful and powerful influence in how I create and who I am. And also, I really enjoy business.
The name which Olivia gave her brand, Asha 11, reflects Kenya's Swahili heritage and her own spiritual views.
Asha means life in Arabic, and it also means truth and right working. 11 is a number that shows up for me quite a lot and is known to represent the opening of a spiritual gateway. I kind of felt like the two together almost represented this sort of bipolar essence of like our physical purpose on this earth balanced with the more sort of spiritual and not so earthly essence.
For Olivia's sales manager and stylist Linda Gunga, having practically every offcut turned into a product of some kind means each dress treads as lightly as possible on the planet.
What I love about the collection is that the designs are pretty much different from what we've had in our previous collections, and the new designs are brilliant, nice, free-flowing, something you can wear any day, anyway.
This new summer collection was designed to be flattering to the form, a breeze to wear, and of course, eye-catching.
The inspiration process usually starts actually with the print design process, and this print itself was inspired by a lot of flora and fauna, which then kind of like married into more geometric and colorful kind of shapes. Frills are something that's very intrinsic to the brand, and I think even with all this extra volume, it's got these added little frills in the seam lines which just make it super fun. This is the muumuu dress, and it's in our Transcend print. A muumuu dress is actually a Hawaiian chill-in at home dress, and it's supposed to be effortless, comfy, easy, but it's also pretty glam too. This is the Soma dress, and it's in this beautiful indigo color, which I think is proving to be everyone's favorite. And it just has lots of swing, and this is really a great occasion dress. If you're off to a wedding or a party, this is that dress. I always believe that comfort is everything, and fashion, clothing is really something that is there to support you and make you feel the best version of yourself. And I think it's something that's always so rewarding as a designer, is when people wear something and they look and feel their best and radiate positivity as a result of that.
To creative and model Texas, we should wear our principles. And on that count, this range delivers.
I really appreciate the careful consideration of how she designs her pieces, as well as how conscious and self-aware she is about sustainability and the wellness of the planet. It's so colorful, and the fabrics are so well done and breathable and gentle on the skin. The designs are beautiful and simple and have a soft femininity to it that I really, really like. I love this collection so much. I can definitely see myself in a few of these pieces. I think I'd like to go and explore the store and see what else they have.
This was just the opportunity Texas needed to enjoy the benefits of having recently switched her primary bank account to Capitec.
I'm a new Capitec customer. Before I can buy my Asha 11 pieces, I first need to familiarize myself with the Capitec app. You can do anything on this app. Buy electricity, data. It's simple. You can generate multiple savings accounts and transfer money between them easily. I think I'm going to do one for clothing. I heard you can do digital payments, which is perfect for me because I never have my card on me.
The lady has great timing because the label recently opened a bigger store here at the Watershed, and along with it launched a full new and sustainable summer collection.
Oh, I think this looks amazing. I love the colors on you. How does it make you feel?
So good. I feel like the colors are bright and it's very soft and feminine. I really appreciate that.
So it's a fabric called Tencel, which is actually the most sustainable textile that there is on the market. And what makes it so sustainable is that it's derived from a wood pulp, so it doesn't actually require any crop to be tilled in order to make it. And then in the production process, it uses zero chemicals and very little water. And yeah, it just boasts these amazing qualities, like breathability, the silky soft feel, and it's also very durable and hard wearing.
Dressing for summer should be about ease, as should shopping. With Scan to Pay working wherever you see a QR code, being a Capitec account holder is sheer convenience.
That digital payment went so well. There's still so much more for me to explore on this app, and I'm excited for the new year, reaching my goals and wearing my fun new dress.
If you'd like to live better with Capitec, tell us which featured piece from Olivia's new collection you'd love to refresh your wardrobe with, and stand a chance of winning R1,000 cash prize courtesy of Capitec. Simply reply to the competition post on the insidersa.co.za social media platforms using #LiveBetterWithCapitec. T's and C's apply and can be found on the Insider SA website. Right after this, it's a table for two at Restaurant of the Year, The Living Room, for Mrs. South Africa and her Mr. A getaway to the award-winning Summerhill Guest Estate in Pinetown was how reigning Mrs. South Africa Palesa Matjekane and her husband Phihlelo Matjekane chose to refresh themselves ahead of another crazy busy year.
Wow! Oh my goodness, this is beautiful, babe.
It really is, eh? It's lovely. I met my wife Palesa in 2009. It was quite an interesting story of how we met. We're both actually at a wedding. She did give me the look and I gave her the look. Nothing was done for a while up until...
I gave you a call. So I actually invited him to a pageant. I was hosting a pageant at the Kruger National Park. And yeah, you came through. And I think we hit it off since then.
The contrast between the rustic thatched exteriors and this mod styling makes for a stunning reveal.
So the room is exceptional. I mean, just literally walking through the door and seeing the decor. I love how they played with different looks. It's very modern. Definitely, if I'm building a home, I'm going to steal a few ideas from them because I believe it's beautiful.
The decor aside, the top draw card of this Cowie's Hill hideaway is the living room restaurant, run by Johannes and Johanna Richter.
Summerhill was originally our private house, and I grew up on this property, and where the living room now is used to be our private dining room. My mother turned it into a guest house, and it started off as a small B&B with only 5 rooms.
After Johannes turned down law and banking to apprentice as a chef in Germany, he returned with the finest cooking skills and his new bride Johanna to take the family business next level.
I went to Berlin, where Johanna and I met. From there on, we decided to get married, start a family, and the only place that we wanted to start a family in was back here.
Finishing 13th in the 2019 Restaurant of the Year Awards, now in December 2022, they came out tops. An impressive leap forward.
When we decided to start this project of the living room, there was a lot of brainstorming around it, and what we were always very clear on was that we wanted to give a platform to the huge array in culture that Durban has, without trying to now cook indigenous food or cook food that is polarized by one, but really trying to take elements and ingredients from all sides and spectrums and combine them to enjoy together and to get an understanding for this beautiful, multicultural space that Durban is.
It's all based around
a humble beginning,
yeah, humble ingredients, like everyday products that Johannes makes in such a beautiful plate, and he mixes it with such beautiful combinations that you get a food experience that you are completely surprised of, and it hits you with nostalgia because you don't expect to have a flavor of a porridge that you had when you were 4 years old, or some pickled cauliflower that you had when your aunt was doing it for you. So, and I think this is the beautiful thing about what our food is about, that you have this humble ingredients that just get portrayed in a completely different light.
Ask chef, and you can even pick your own ingredients.
A lot of people think fine dining and they think of caviar and they think of crayfish. That's definitely not what we have in our menu. Obviously the focus being on trying to portray Durban's culinary diversity. One of the other focuses that is equally as important to us is that we're obviously sustainable, or try and be as sustainable as possible.
It was traveling the Spice Coast of East Africa which brought the young foodie so close to the true original ingredients.
So Jan, what are we picking for tonight for dinner?
Out of our garden tonight, what we're definitely going to be using is we're going to be using a variety of chilies, as well as a bit of fresh ginger as well that we're going to be putting into the broths that you're going to be having with our porcini mushroom and forage mushroom dish. The other component that we're using straight from the garden are green bananas that we are using as chips, as well as a fritter with our mussel and organic chicken dish.
When not tending his mint, chef is spearfishing his own seafood, making every dish an adventure.
So we're excited for tonight's menu. He's introduced so many amazing herbs. I'm excited about the chili. We both love chili.
Yep.
And the green bananas. So I'm very excited for tonight's menu. Babe, you?
Very excited.
Palesa has walked an impressive path too, from township schoolgirl to model, fashion designer and businesswoman.
So I started in the beauty pageant at the age of 5. I've been on billboards, I've been in magazines, I've represented South Africa as a Miss Earth in Ethiopia, and I was a runner-up. So I've been in the industry for quite some time at a tender age of 5. My passion for fashion purely derives from traveling with my mother. We traveled to the fashion hubs, such as France, such as Italy, and such as Brazil. And I saw the beauty of clothes. For the first time, I saw the beauty of women wearing the clothes.
The dreams of this go-getter were encouraged by her mom, her gran, and by her grandfather. And when she lost him, it moved her to be even bolder.
Entering Mrs. South Africa again reignited that dream, because as pageantry, you see women, you meet women wearing beautiful clothes and beautiful garments. And I found a niche, and it reignited my sacred dream to start my brand. So Mason Lee's main focus is on denim, and we love to play with the different looks and feels of denim. And right here we have one of my favorite dresses. Either wear it on the day wear or as evening wear. So it gives you those 2-in-1 feels. And what I'm wearing, which is definitely one of my favorites, so I'll do a little turn around for you so you see how beautiful this is. And on the inside, we played along with a lot of threading. As you can see, the detailing of it as well, which I love. And as you can see also here, we have diamantes to give it a little bit of glow for that evening look that you want to wear, and always accessorize. This is Palesa in a nutshell. We have different cotton here that plays through right all the way to the end with that white denim look, giving it that stripy look, both for going out as well. You see, I've got the shimmer glitter earrings to give it that vavavoom, and you can wear it both for day and night.
But for the restaurant of the year, Palesa chose to dazzle. This confidence comes from her mother, who had her as a teenager, became a lawyer, businesswoman, and taught her daughter to appreciate where every meal came from.
First dish is our carrot dish. We marinated in our homemade miso, which is very Durban inspired. With that, we've got a couple of macadamias. A buttered carrot juice is a main component there as well as a bit of mint just to freshen things up. The second dish revolves around our chicken. We've paired that up with a couple of green bananas, as well as a mussel velouté from aquacultured mussels. The main course revolves around a whole lamb carcass that we get in, which is paired up with local cherries as well as white beans, and finished off with just a very light curried bean sugo. The palate cleanser is nectarine with fig leaf, just to reset everything after all the savory dishes. And our main dessert, a sorghum cake with a yogurt panna cotta on top, as well as a gel of Madagascar vanilla kombucha. And the ice cream is a classic vanilla, and then we have a couple of vanilla kombucha chips that accompany that, just to give a little bit of texture as well.
If Palesa encourages kids to get into maths and science, Chef Johannes inspires them to get cooking, and he makes a compelling case.
Every single meal on today's menu was absolutely delicious. To come here and actually experience the food, something that we picked in the garden, which makes it even, the whole experience has been absolutely amazing. So we're just grateful for the opportunity to actually take time out and come here and really, really, really enjoy the place.
It's been beautiful.
It's been amazing.
For literally the freshest take on fine dining, make a weekend of it and get to this family gem in Cowie's Hill. Just ahead, African art refreshes the American soul, and Binkie Newman creates world markets for our finest baskets.
Sponsored by Capitec.
When American home decor powerhouses Jim Brett and Ed Gray built a sanctuary here in South Africa, it was also an investment in the refreshing local architecture, art and design scene. Because once was never enough, they built twice more, and Villa Verte is their latest addition.
I think to be in a location like this, we have a real responsibility to honor the location and to make sure that we build in a way that sits within the framework that's already here and honors it.
Built in the spirit of the original, the demands of bringing a second vision to reality required a new approach from local architect Thomas Leach.
Now this house was a challenge because Maison Noir is on a pretty flat plateau. This house is literally like this. I mean, you know, we spent probably more on the foundations in the basement. To dig into this mountain was a feat. There's something about the circle and sacred geometry and the ancient geometry and the fact that, you know, almost nothing in nature has a hard angle. And I still wanted to bring that type of geometry here. So we put the spine on the outside, facing the mountain, with the bedrooms cantilevered out. And so it's inspired by Maison Noir, but yet it looks nothing like it. This house is the natural house.
The blend of contemporary furniture, influences from across the continent, a strong mid-century look and botanical theme were drawn together by design director Diana George.
We're here in the main living space, and what we were really trying to do is bring a bit of the element of nature into the space. Everything has been custom made and designed. The space is so voluminous, so it's very hard to get stuff off the shelf. We've got this incredible rug at the bottom here that really mimics the forest outside, so it really brings in those lush greens and sort of natural tones to really sort of tie in with the background. A lot of the pieces within the gallery are from different designers. These really do carry a sort of a nod to like African culture and African design. The artwork is also a celebration of African artists.
The understated curves of walls and passages are meant to put you at your ease.
Architecturally, the bedrooms have all been designed to really sort of be cantilevered across over forest. So there's a lot of natural light flooding in, and balconies are really exposed, and the guests are really exposed to the natural forest. So you feel like this sense of lightness and escapism when you're in your rooms.
The sweeping space and everything you touch, look at, smell or hear is each one element in creating a greater sanctuary for the senses, where wellness director Romy Paul runs a spa known far beyond our borders.
This is our wellness center. We have a brand new spa which was created and designed by architect Philip Nell. In this spa we have 3 beautiful treatment rooms. We have a Razul, which is a Middle Eastern mud ritual. We also have a brand new gym and a little yoga studio where we do other wellness activities like breath work and sound healing as well. We have created 4 signature elixirs that are cold pressed juices, but they have been created with intention. So also aligning with our rhythms of nature, rise, realign, reflect and rest. We have created one for each, and most of the ingredients are grown on our land.
For the villa to blend with its natural reserve surroundings, called for a garden which balances structure and free-flowing plant beds to lead the eye and merge with the setting. Property manager Dave Jonker gave us the tour.
When you're on the property, you feel like you've really escaped the city. Even though we are a stone's throw from Cape Town and here in Hout Bay, we are surrounded by plenty of fynbos, which is unique to the Western Cape, and the beautiful rock faces that surround us gives you this feeling that you are in a sanctuary of nature. It really is a space to come be at peace and one with nature.
A really interesting feature of the garden is the 5 senses, the 5 elements garden. Everyone is drawn to that. It's fire, wind, soil, earth, the spirituality of the center and water. And that really is a space everyone should spend some time in. So the brief in creating the garden was to make sure there were lots of spaces for rest and healing, where people could really feel like they could spend time amongst the plants, to feed the guests and the staff, so there's a lot of food elements in the garden. To tie in with the mountain behind us, there has to be a strong indigenous element in the garden, and to be beautiful. We don't want people just spending time in the inside spaces, but to be drawn out and spend time with nature.
What guests enjoy for just a while is a place the owner would happily spend every day.
there's something about being around nature that changes you because it gives you the opportunity to think. And before you know it, while you're thinking, you find yourself looking inward. And you find your path towards relaxing to a point that you can open up to look inward and find inner transformation yourself.
A favorite way in which Jim finds his own peace of mind is by collecting art, especially the South African variety, and by our best-known artists as well as fresh, new talents in need of support. It's a passion he shares with a longtime champion of master African basket makers, Binkie Newman. A career which began with running a wilderness camp in the Okavango introduced entrepreneur Binkie to the intricately woven baskets of Africa. She has spent the rest of her life introducing them to the world.
I started Design Africa 27 years ago. My goal was to work with traditional basket weavers and to help them get access to the international market or the global market. We try to illustrate how traditional basketry works in a contemporary situation. For instance, this is an extremely traditional basket that was made for carrying liquids. This is traditional to the Beira district in Zimbabwe. They've been making them since the beginning and they still make them, which we export all over the world. And this is a contemporary basket, contemporary colors, still functional, but modern.
By adapting traditional shapes, Binkie designed a range which has met with great success.
This is also Zulu, but it's a much quicker weave to make. So this would have been the traditional natural basket used for storage, for flooring, and so on. But these are a lot more modern, but they can be used for storage, they can be used just as objects. This one we allowed the fronds to stay put. They give a lot of interest to the basket. And this one can be used as a planter. It can also be bent down and made a little bit smaller. But it's just a gorgeous object to have in your home.
The brand is passionate about the sustainability of these products, and that demands a fair deal for everyone.
In order to make basket weaving attractive to a younger generation, they have to be able to see that their mothers and aunts and grandmothers are receiving a decent cash income. For me personally, my passion is to make sure that this craft of basket weaving is preserved and thrives. I have to make sure that the weavers I work with are well paid and enjoy basket weaving. It can't be a one-way process. We have to work together, and in this way we ensure that the next generation sees that they can have an enjoyable pastime and receive a good salary from it.
Among the most popular uses of these pieces is purely as decor.
Today I want to show you how you can use these baskets as wall art. We're going to do a mock-up of them on the floor, and to help me will be my assistant Murray King.
So we're using a monochromatic scheme because it's quite contemporary and works in a contemporary space. We usually start with the biggest basket and then build outwards from there.
Once you've got your center point, you can start moving outwards on both sides. We've found that if you keep equidistant between the baskets, it keeps it visually perfect. I'm going to put that one there and this one there, so the distances are almost identical.
So we have baskets from a few different countries in this assortment, and a lot of them look quite similar to each other, so we try to keep those baskets separate so that it's a much more balanced wall.
Don't be afraid to use baskets that have a large height. They don't all have to be flat baskets. This one, which is quite tall, I think will look terrific there.
Laying it out on the floor gives you a sense of the composition, and there's no right or wrong way, so it's really just about trying different ways of putting the baskets together, and doing it on the floor is much easier than drilling 100 holes in the wall and then changing it later.
A single installation like this means a lot of business for those crafting these original cultural designs from South to Central and East to West Africa.
We've just received this huge consignment shipment from Babatry in Ghana, and it's a collection of art baskets like this and utilitarian shoppers like this. This is what makes me very excited and what keeps me doing what I'm doing. To receive this amount of incredibly beautiful baskets that have been woven by highly, highly skilled weavers in Bolgatanga, and this represents a good chance that basket weaving will be sustainable and will be passed on to future generations throughout Africa.
That these baskets double as functional and sustainable pieces, as well as making the kind of decor you just cannot source from anywhere else in the world, increases their appeal and longevity for generations to come. Next up, having his barber on the decks and his mom as artistic director is hit-making gold for Emcee YoungstaCPT.
Sponsored by Capitec.
Deep in my skin, I feel it within. I hope you can swim, the water is deep, where do I begin? I'm rapping
a man who understands the balance between keeping it fresh and real is musician and entrepreneur Raffy Roberts, aka YoungstaCPT. It saw his debut solo work 3T, or Things Take Time, win Album of the Year at the 2019 SA Hip Hop Awards. And this is how his story goes.
They know we're unique, they know that we're here.
There's a lot of stories that have to represent your street or your neighborhood or your district or your area, and this is mine. You know, this was the story that I told, this was the place I spoke from, and this was the perspective I was seeing life from.
Native and tribal.
So we have slang for everything. All those words that I was neglecting in the music, I was using it in my everyday speech, and one day I just tried it. I just made a song called Salute, and we went #1 on Ready D's show. Kind of like the biggest moment of my career, so to say. And I started making this connect.
To do that, Youngster needed to be the strong, entertaining central character, like the one which launched Will Smith's career.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, I just liked the aesthetics, I liked the way he looked. He was comedic, his timing was always on. He also rapped the intro of the show. So when I was watching it, I was like, yo, this brother can rap, dress is cool, he's funny. And I was like, I want to do that. So I kind of picked up on the rapping. Then after Will Smith, that's when I started like digging deeper into hip-hop, discovering about graffiti, which was also a big thing for me. Via the trains, you got to see all of that. So I actually learned about all the elements of hip-hop growing up. And it was self-taught. I was literally just reading magazines at that time. There was no internet. And that was like my journals. That was like my textbooks. I was actually schooling myself on rap music.
The local references, which Youngster crafted into street art and culture, now form the language of his brand.
What started off as drawing at the back of my school books and obviously turned into me spray painting in my yard, which then turned into me spray painting on the trains and train lines, which made me a tagger. And the logo for the YG and the Y question mark, I drew this myself. The brand basically speaks to that kind of introduction of hip-hop, that beginning of hip-hop. Just anything that I wore, I at least tried to make that in some way.
To build the music, brand, and a barbershop, the MC relied on a partnership with his audio engineer and barber, Muffin Man.
The man that's putting the blade to my head right now, he's not only my barber and confidant, but also my selector, my engineer in studio. And together, the two of us actually recorded 24 mixtapes in 24 months. But yeah, so for Muffin Man to still be with me at this time, I mean, you want to speak about loyalty, you want to speak about friendship, 2 decades worth of work. Now that we've established something here, because I mean, Muffin used to cut hair in his garage while we were recording those mixtapes.
While developing his career, Youngster has formed a tight crew with the likes of his earliest barber, Muyumba Fataki.
A community is inclusive. You don't separate communities, you join the communities. And for me, that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what I'm doing. You know, even in trying, I know I'm already actively doing it, because the guy that's cutting hair here, not Muffin Man, my other barber, Fatty, I've known him for about 12 years. He used to cut my hair back when I was staying on the other side of the train line. Including him in the barbershop was only right because he was the guy that cut my hair before I met Muffin Man. I just feel like for community, you have to have some sort of a unit, some sort of a sense of family, and also a sense of love. You care for the community, you try and improve the community, you try and uplift your community if you see it's a community that's a bit disadvantaged or disenfranchised or struggling, or whatever the case may be. You try and give lifelines in the community. I don't think you should break each other down in the community. You should build each other up.
Right next door to his store is his mother Raffy Roberts' boutique, and it's clear that family comes before all in this tale.
He told the lady when he was 5 years old, when she said, "What are you going to be when you leave school one day?" And he went, "I'm going to be a famous rapper. This is me."
Yep, she looked at the lady straight, she was like, "Oh, he's not going to be a rapper, he just says things like that, yeah."
We had little deals and he was very good at that. Like, let's say he wanted the Ja Rule CD, for example. He would have to do something to earn that CD, and he was very happy to do it.
I swept that carpet for Ja Rule. Yes, I did. If I didn't have a supportive parent in my life, then I don't think I would have had the courage or the passion and just the ability to even do it, because there would be nobody that's nurturing and encouraging me to go forward. There's a song that's dedicated just for her, you know, and that's her father on the cover. A lot of what I've done, and even the clothing brand, the way that I present myself, the music videos, the way I try and style myself in the videos, this is the source, basically. This is where it comes from.
Raffy understands what sells, and she's gifted this insight to her son in a beautiful way.
Also something that changed a lot of my writing is when my mother started saying, "Why don't you make songs I can listen to?" That also like struck a chord in me, and the light bulb went on where I was like, maybe I should try and eliminate some of these vulgarities. And I realized that if you eliminate those words, kind of like the explicit lines in the song plays on the radio, song plays on TV, I can get booked for corporate shows, and not only that, I started a school tour thereafter where we used to go to high schools and primary schools and I'd perform for the kids. So if I had songs that were based on just that subject matter, I wouldn't have all those opportunities knocking at my door. You must listen to your mommy sometimes, bro. She knows. You don't, but she does.
And all of South Africa knew when at the age of 19, her son and Muffin Man opened for megastar Lil Wayne.
I just wanted to be a rapper. That was my dream since I was a child, since Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know. So once I got to meet somebody that shared that passion, once I found someone else that was doing it where I came from, I was like, this is the guy I've been looking for. This is the yin to my yang. The name is Youngster with the Y-Gen crew. And who do I represent? It's the CPT, so you better watch me on SABC3, yeah. And I'm the best freestyler. Keep it so clean like hand sanitizer. And yes, thank you to all of you and yours. Please hold your applause. Now stop, press record.
Next week on the Insider SA, the need to create burns brighter than the sun in actor, artist and filmmaker Nirvana Nokwe. Interior designer Dylan Thomas reinvigorates this mid-century classic, and the Cederberg is a place where the spirit soars.
Another feel-good production.